I had everything. A wardrobe full of fashionable clothes, luxury makeup, and a new phone model. My friends envied me and called me lucky. I'll be honest, I liked always being the center of attention, but few people knew about the dark side of my perfect life. Hi, I'm Bianca, and I want to tell you my story. My dad was a workaholic, so we hardly ever saw each other. I lived with my grandma, and my dad gave me expensive gifts to make up for his absence. Do you think that's cool? Well, it freaking wasn't. After all, he never followed through with our plans and often forgot about my birthdays. Honey, happy 15th birthday! Dad, my birthday was a week ago. I'm sorry, I was so busy. I promise I will find time for our adventures. Yeah, right. He said that so often that I had long stopped believing him. But one day, Dad picked me up from school and said we were going to have a picnic. Pinch me, was I dreaming? Yay! Unfortunately, my joy was short-lived. When we arrived at the park, I saw Dad's colleagues. It turned out, Dad's company was having a corporate picnic. His boss, Mr. Freeman, was a family man and told his employees to bring their relatives along. So that was why. Dad introduced me to his boss. This is Bianca. She likes, knitting. Scrapbooking, Dad. I told you that a million times. Dad waved me off and kept talking to Mr. Freeman. He told me to go hang out with the other kids. Even now, he was only using me as an accessory. I flopped down on a blanket and a guy sat down next to me. I'm bored to death. Yeah, I know the feeling. His name was Earl. His parents had made him come too. He slyly took a small remote control out of his pocket and beckoned me to the pond. I saw a radio-controlled crocodile hidden in the bushes. We threw it into the water, hid, and pressed start. It was time to have some fun. Dad's colleagues freaked out and scattered. Earl and I were dying, laughing. But then, my dad's hand fell on my shoulder. Bianca, you're embarrassing me. Who is this troublemaker? Before I could say anything, Mr. Freeman came up to us. It turned out that Earl was his son. I'm so glad our kids are getting along. Dad immediately smiled and said that he enjoyed our prank to please his boss. The adults went back to discussing some boring stuff, and I spent the rest of the picnic hanging out with Earl. The next day, Dad said that we were going on a short vacation to a mountain resort. I stared at him incredulously. Is this because of your work again? No, this is going to be an adventure just for the two of us. It seemed he was trying to make amends for ignoring me. I quickly packed up and we were on our way. The resort was in a picturesque town in the mountains. We drove up to a small, cozy hotel. I headed for the stairs and almost slipped on the wet floor. A cleaning lady with a rag was standing nearby. Whoa, shouldn't there be a warning sign here? Sorry, I was so busy it slipped my mind. Please don't tell the manager or he'll fire me. Then, she called 2 maids and asked them to take my things to my room. These are my daughters, Grace and Diana. They will help you. Be careful with the suitcase. It's Louis Vuitton. Not that you know who that is. I casually tipped the maids and came to the window. The view was fantastic. This is going to be a great vacation. In the morning, Dad and I went for a walk in the mountains. I was ecstatic because I had long dreamed of spending time with him. But guess what? I was in for a disappointment again because we came across Mr. Freeman and his family during the hike. Had Dad lied to me again? You promised it would just be us. Hush, honey. Let's not fight now. You and Earl got along, and his dad invited us here so that our families could spend more time together. It will be good for my career. My father was such a liar. He started sucking up to his boss and told me to hang out with Earl. That was the only good thing about it all. Earl was gorgeous and interesting, and I liked spending time with him. Our parents were paying us no mind, so we enjoyed the hike and made fun of them. When Dad and I came back to the hotel in the evening, we were exhausted. To my surprise, he looked tense. I was angry with him, but I still asked him what the matter was. Dad frowned and told me to mind my own business. What had gotten into him? First, he dragged me there, and now he was pissed off for no good reason. The hotel offered full spa services, so I decided to get my mind off things. Grace and Diana brought me fragrant oils and drinks while I was relaxing. Hey, I asked you to comb my hair, not pull it out. I'm sorry, there's a knot. It's not that I always acted so arrogant, but the whole thing with my dad really upset me, and I took it out on the hotel staff. After that, I decided it was time for scrapbooking, but I hadn't brought scissors with me, so I went in search of them. I saw a staff room next to the reception and went there. Hey, is anyone here? I need scissors. I found myself in a tiny room with 3 beds in it. It turned out that Grace and Diana lived in it with their mom. Can you imagine? My dressing room was bigger. We'll bring the scissors to your room. The maids were very embarrassed that I had seen their home. They were so nice and polite, even though I had treated them terribly. I felt very ashamed of myself and invited them to my room so that we could watch a TV series on a huge plasma screen. We were lying on the floor and chatting merrily. The girls turned out to be awesome. But then, their mother, the cleaner called Iris, walked into the room. She started yelling at her daughters. "How many times have I told you not to bother the guests?" I was about to say that I'd asked them to come, but then my dad walked into the room and almost knocked Iris down. "Oh, I'm sorry. I think I stepped on your foot." Dad looked at the cleaner with interest and said he would buy her a coffee as an apology. The next evening, Dad told me that we were going to have a dinner with Mr. Freeman's family. I was glad to see Earl again. And then, Iris and her daughters came up to our table. Dad kindly pulled out a chair for her and introduced her to his boss. "This is my wife Iris and my 2 other daughters, Diana and Grace." What the heck? Was this some kind of joke? Psst, Bianca, I didn't know you had sisters. Neither had I. I glared at Dad. He smiled guiltily and whispered to me that he would explain everything later. "Just play along for now, sweetie." It was a very weird evening. Iris and the girls had great table manners and made a good impression on Mr. Freeman's family. Dad was pleased as well. After dinner, I saw him sweetly thank the cleaning lady for her help and give her a stack of cash. "Dad, what was that all about?" "The thing is," he said that he had to lie to his boss during the hike. He told him that he had a wife and that she came with us. Dad didn't want to admit that he got divorced because he was afraid that Mr. Freeman would not promote him. Family was very important to his boss after all. So, when Dad ran into Iris, he asked her to pretend to be his wife and my mom. "I know lying is bad, but if I move up the career ladder, I will get a raise." "If that's so important to you, I'll play along, I guess." "Great! I promise I'll buy you something special, Bianca." Iris was nice, and her daughters and I became fast friends. Pretending to be a perfect family to fool Mr. Freeman wasn't hard. We went hiking and sightseeing together every day. My dad was sure he had the promotion firmly in his pocket, and I just liked spending time with him. But soon, things got weird. Dad was very affectionate with my fake mom and constantly praised Grace and Diana. After all, they knew several languages and could talk about even the most boring topics. I felt like a fifth wheel. Grace plays the cello, and Diana just won a chess championship. He couldn't even remember the name of my hobby. I became jealous and annoyed. Earl was trying to figure out why I was always in a bad mood, but I couldn't tell him the truth. "It's just that I got blisters because we've been hiking a lot. Maybe you should stay in for a couple of days?" Actually, that sounded like a great idea. I was getting tired of seeing Dad suck up to his boss and hold hands with Iris. So, when Mr. Freeman suggested we go shopping together the next day, I told Dad I wasn't feeling well and stayed at the hotel. Being alone was about as fun as watching paint dry. After a couple of hours, I felt like I was about to lose it out of boredom. And then, I remembered seeing some cool comics in the maid's room. I called Grace to ask her for permission to read them and went down to their room. "Here it is!" I took the comics and magazines out of the drawer and was about to leave. But then, I saw a stack of documents with Iris's name on them. I got curious and leafed through them. Wow, you wouldn't believe what I found out! It turned out she was a criminal! She had been accused of some sort of fraud not that long ago. I went back to my room and Googled her. Apparently, she tried to cheat some rich moron out of his money, but he saw right through her and Iris was punished. That woman was a wolf in sheep's clothing. What if she tried to con Dad and steal from him? I anxiously dialed my father's number and tried to warn him, but he wouldn't listen to me. "That's nonsense, Bianca. By the way, Mr. Freeman and his family couldn't come with us, so we went shopping without them. Do you want me to buy anything for you?" What? I didn't want to leave Dad alone with all those cunning women, so I rushed to the mall. What I saw there made my heart sink. Dad was having fun with his fake family and buying them gifts. He was over the moon. And then he brought Iris to a jewelry store, and they started to look at the rings. I was gutted. That traitor! I burst into tears and ran away. When Dad came back to the hotel, I decided to make him see Iris for who she really was. "Open your eyes! She's a criminal! I've seen the documents from her trial!" "That doesn't mean she's going to steal from me. And anyway, don't go rummaging through other people's things." Then, he said that the next day was going to be very important, and he had to get some sleep. Important? How? What did that mean? Dad went into the bathroom, and I saw that he had bought a ring box. Was he really going to propose to the cleaning lady? Not on my watch. It was time to act. Dad wasn't listening to me, so I decided to tell the truth to Mr. Freeman. I called Earl and told him that Iris and her daughters had just been pretending to be our family. He got mad that my dad was fooling his father and agreed to help me. We sneakily took photos of Iris mopping the floors and Grace and Diana working as maids. Now we had proof. Our families were going to have dinner on our last day there. Dad was excited and said that it was a very important night for him. And then I saw him put the ring box into his pocket. We arrived at the restaurant. I didn't waste any time and told everything to Mr. Freeman. This woman is not my mom. She's just a cleaner and a fraud who helps Dad fool you so that you would promote him. Earl showed his father the pictures on his phone. Mr. Freeman was pissed off. He slammed his fist on the table. "This is outrageous! I thought you were a good family man, but all you did was deceive me." He stormed out of the restaurant with his family. Earl gave me a parting wink. "Bianca, you did the right thing. See you later." Dad turned to me, dumbfounded, and asked me why I had ruined everything. "Because you've never put me first. And I don't want you to marry a criminal. I saw the ring." Dad blinked in surprise and said that it was the promotion he had been excited about, and he'd actually bought the ring for me. "I promised to buy you something special, and I know that Iris had problems with the law." "Bianca, listen, it all happened a long time ago. I was married to a rich but bad man. When I demanded a divorce and a division of property, he hired good lawyers and made me look like a fraud, even though I wasn't." She said that because of her ruined reputation, she could not find a good job and became a cleaner. Diana and Grace even had to help her save up money for a new house. I didn't believe a word she said and angrily went back to the hotel. I was glad the liars had been exposed. Soon, my dad and I put our things into a taxi and were ready to go home. I was waiting for him in the car and saw Iris come up to him and give back all the money and gifts he had given her and the girls. "I spent time with you because I liked you and not because of money. So I'm returning every cent. Well, goodbye." Wow, could she be telling the truth? Maybe I judged her too quickly. Dad and I didn't speak on the way home. He looked sad, and I was both ashamed of myself and miserable. I thought that things at home would stay the same. I would live with my grandma and Dad would keep working from dusk till dawn. However, in the morning, I saw Dad making pancakes in the kitchen. "Hi, sweetie. You know, I've been thinking, you had a right to be upset with me. After all, I was trying so hard to earn more money that I forgot about something much more important, spending time with you." I wiped away a tear and hugged Dad. From that day on, we started spending a lot of time together. It was everything I dreamed of. However, Dad looked sad, and I knew exactly why. I still felt bad for exposing Iris, so I decided to surprise Dad. I called her and asked her and her daughters over. When Dad saw Iris, he smiled like he had won a lottery. Soon, they started dating, and the girls and I became real sisters. One day, we were having a picnic when we saw Mr. Freeman and his family. "I see that things have worked out for you in the end." "Well, I'm glad. Come to my office on Monday. We will discuss your promotion." "Thanks, but I'm afraid I'll have to decline. I missed so many of Bianca's birthdays because of work. Now, I want to make up for lost time. Could you offer a job to Iris, though? She is an excellent specialist." The adults started talking about business, and Earl came up to me. "I've been trying to pluck up the courage and ask you out for a long time. Although, now you have two cute sisters. Which one should I choose?" "Excuse you?" "I'm kidding. Let's go for a walk." "Sure, you clown." I winked at my sisters and took Earl's hand. I'm glad everything ended well. We deserve a happy ending. Let's chat now. What were you angry at your parents for? Tell us in the comments down below.